Good morning, everybody. I'm Dan Tishman. I'm so happy to be here today in Miami Beach. We are the Tishman UIA OMA South Beach ACE group. ACE is Arts, Culture, and Entertainment, for those of you who are wondering. Again, I'm happy to be here today. I'm going to lead the presentation, turn it over to various people, and we will wrap up in about 28 and a half minutes. I want to just tell you that the success for this site is really quite simple. We have to deliver to the city of Miami Beach a repositioning of your existing convention center into a world-class convention center surrounded by appropriate development that will perform as the city's major economic generator for generations to come. To accomplish this goal, the convention center will have to become more transparent within its own urban context. It will have to anchor sensible and sustainable development on the acres that surround it. And it will have to knit together the surrounding communities. Sounds simple. Success will not be measured by how many residential towers can be added to the 52 acres, or how many square feet of retail can be shoehorned into the site, but rather by developing a plan where every single ancillary square foot of development will complement the economic success of the convention center. To do this, and the reason I say it's quite simple, is to put together the world-class team that not only says they are capable of accomplishing this task, but who have actually demonstrated it time and time and time again, not only for themselves, but success for their public partners, you. So, a bit about the team. Again, I'm Dan Tishman, the principal at Tishman Hotel and Realty. We have brought together a world-class local developer, UIA, and a world-class architect, master planner, and expert in convention center in the firm of OMA, and many other incredibly important, incredibly accomplished team members to complement the team on construction, on financing in Goldman Sachs, in planning, in traffic, in AECOM, in urban landscape design, both nationally and locally. And I can't think of a better team to be proceeding with you as your partner to accomplish the ultimate goal. Next slide. A little bit about Tishman Realty and Hotel Corp. One of the most important things you need to do when you select a partner is to make sure that you have stability. Tishman Hotel and Realty was founded a little bit ago. I'm the fourth generation. We have roots back to 1898 as an owner, builder, developer, consultant, construction company. Again, as the fourth generation leader of the company, we have tremendous stability. Our focus on every single project that we do is long-term. We are not ever in a project for a quick flip to make a quick buck. We hold every single property today that we've developed over the last generation. That's important to longevity, it's important to planning, it's important to your success, stability, financing, everything that will make this project a success. We are an absolute expert in large-scale public, private, urban projects. We were the principal developer for all of the hospitality in Times Square, as well as the construction company for all the commercial office buildings, and the development manager and constructor for many of the cultural facilities in the Times Square area, which is perhaps the largest urban renewal project that's taken place in the United States in this century. We are always focused on area-appropriate design, program, and development. What we do here in Miami Beach is not going to be in any way, shape, or form comparable or related to or a copy of something we've done anywhere else. And lastly, there's tremendous longevity in our team. The Tishman team, many of whom are here today, have been with me and my family all for in excess of 20 years. Stability is the key to success. A little bit about our assets. Here in Florida, where we have paid close to $400 million worth of taxes, we developed, as the developer, a very large convention hotel on Disney property. Next slide. We are the owner, developer of the anchor for a major urban renewal project in downtown Chicago, on property where owned by Chicago Dock and Canal. It's now the largest, most successful convention hotel in the city of Chicago. And together, in partnership with the government of Puerto Rico, we crafted legislation about 15 years ago with the Department of Tourism to stimulate the tourism industry, not just for our project, but for many other projects, and then developed what is the largest conventions facility in the Caribbean. All Tishman developed, Tishman built, Tishman financed, Tishman owned. Next slide. Two projects that are very important to the discussion of yours are the two new hotels that we developed, we own, we built in Midtown Manhattan in the Times Square area, the two largest hotels built in New York in the last half century. Again, major developments, both public-private partnerships with the city, the state, on ground lease, both projects which we had to, especially the Westin, which we had to compete for with, again, 17 international firms, both hugely costly. As you can see, about $1 billion, about $900 million worth of Tishman-raised capital for those projects. Next slide. Most importantly for your project is I can't think of another firm that has more convention center experience at all levels than we do and our team. Tishman acted as the advisor, the owner's rep and project manager on the Boston Convention Center, the brand new 2 million square foot convention center in South Boston. Next slide. We acted in the same capacity for the Pennsylvania Convention Center that recently got completed. Next slide. We have been on board at the McCormick Center for about 10 years as a project manager. Next slide. And most importantly, our key role in the Jacob Javits Center, which is probably the most comparable project to what you're contemplating here of anything in the United States. Jacob Javits Center, as you may all know, is the convention center on the west side of Manhattan. It has suffered the same sort of history as the Miami Beach Convention Center. It was built during a time. It may have outlived currently its current life and needs to be repositioned. But it suffered a interesting quandary or conundrum. The legislature of the state of New York appropriated a budget to redevelop the Javits Center, independently of the governor of the state of New York developing a design, his vision for the Javits Center. One day, they realized that the budget and the design were not compatible. We were brought in to help figure out how do you take a $500 million budget and produce a project that's supposed to look like a $1.6 billion project. And I actually personally was brought in by the governor, and we worked to figure out with all the stakeholders, all the surrounding community, potential developers, city planning, what you do, because the city of New York only had a finite amount of money. And through a lot of work in morphing it back, we were able to produce a project that is currently under construction that is being built for under $500 million that will satisfy every bit of program that $1.6 billion picture contemplated. It was not an easy process. It was, stakeholders didn't all agree, politicians didn't all agree, potential business users of the convention center didn't all agree, but at the end of the day, we are going to deliver a world-class facility for under $500 million. And today, we have Glenn Johnson, who is the project executive overseeing the building of the Javits Center, has been involved with that process ever since day one, and is here to tell you briefly about it because he'll be on this job if we're so lucky to get it.
Thank you, Dan. I've been involved since 2005 on the Javits Convention Center, first as the development pre-construction, and it's been in construction for 2.5 years presently. And what the point you see right here is this slide is that this is an operating facility. This is not a new facility under construction. The shows are going full-time. They have not lost a day of operating revenue during the shows. We have made the schedules, and we've kept it within budget.
The key that Glenn just said is since we started the construction of the Javits Center, the primary motivation was that it could not miss a day of operation. We will do almost a $500 million job and not close the Javits Center for one day and not pay $1 worth of premium to do it. Next slide. Of course, you can't have a project without having project financing. So again, the ability to attract the financing to a project is based on the credibility of and the track record of the entity that you decide to partner up with. Tishman has executed every single project its entire history that has ever been awarded. We have never walked away from a project. We've never been able to put it together. As I said before, we have a long-term vision, our investment horizon, which is going to be very positive to attracting capital for all the aspects of the project. We know how to match the right investors with the right project. There will be entities that like to invest in public projects like the convention center itself, who will never think about investing in some of the ancillary development that we do, and we will match the right people with the right project because of our following, and we can demonstrate to them that we've done these types of projects. We have raised over $5 billion in the last few years for our own portfolio. We are one of the only hotel developers to successfully put construction loans and finance together for projects since the Great Recession. And we operate a business that has about $100 million worth of EBITDA every year. On the public side, we have partnered up with Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs actually was our banker financing our first major hotel project, and we've continued on in a long positive relationship. They put the deal for us together on the Dolphin and Swan in Orlando. But most importantly, Goldman Sachs is the industry leader in financing public convention center projects. They've done Dallas, they've done Nashville, they've done Washington, they've done McCormick Place, and they've done Houston. Convention center specific public financings. And today, although it's not a convention center, they and we are teamed up on the massive redevelopment of the Hudson Yards, which is being developed on the west side of Manhattan, where we are the master builder and they are the financial advisor. Next slide. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Robert to tell us about his firm here in Miami Beach.
Good morning. I'm happy to be part of the Tishman team. Robert Wennett, I'm the owner and developer of 1111 Lincoln Road. I've spent the last 25 years focused on making livable and workable places while activating public space. These projects include Bethesda Row in Bethesda, Maryland, New York's Meatpacking District, and my most recent project, which is 1111 Lincoln Road. My role here at this project is basically to act as the curator of the project and to help shape and inform the vision and the local knowledge. The most important aspect is assembling the right team. To that end, we put together the most experienced and capable team, starting with Tishman, who we've heard from, soon from OMA, Bills and Sundberg, our law firm. And I'm very happy to introduce Victor Diaz. And Victor, right here, Victor will be assisting us in encouraging and sustaining an ongoing dialogue with the community, relevant stakeholders, and the city staff to ensure our proposal is something the city and its leadership can fully embrace. Lots of teams may have star architects. We have the experience with Herzog and Demeron here in Miami Beach and on Lincoln Road in not only having a star architect, but executing a project with the star architect and making it one of the city's most successful commercial projects. We discussed this project with several architects, and we feel OMA has the experience in master planning large-scale public space and convention centers to execute this project, and you will soon hear their vision. For this project to be a success, it needs to be more than an architectural statement by a star architect. Good architecture changes people's perceptions and continues to surprise and deliver more than expected, which is what I think we will be able to do. Most importantly, the dialogue with the community, the place, the topography, and the weather here in Miami is continuous and ever-changing and resists familiarity. The best work of architecture, in my opinion, is one that keeps surprising no matter how many times you've seen it before. And that's what we expect to accomplish here. We did that at 1111 and hopefully in the Convention Center project. With that, I'd like to introduce Shohei Shigematsu with OMA Architecture.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning. I'm Shohei Shigematsu, partner of OMA and the director of OMA New York. Just a quick introduction of our firm. OMA is a global partnership with offices in Rotterdam, Doha, Beijing, Hong Kong, and New York. These offices work in collaboration on projects throughout the world. On diverse typologies, it's hard to see, but many different typologies. And of these projects right now, 4 are major convention centers and 1 completed in Lille, France, and 3 others ongoing. 1 in Toulouse, 1 in Cordoba, and 1 in Sydney, Australia. Our office, this is a design leadership. Our office was funded by Rem Koolhaas at the very left, who is very excited about the project and will be involved. And he will be leading an effort on this project together with me. I oversee the entire operation in Americas and Asia. And on top of that, we have Maria Finders, director of our think tank AMO. Our office is unique in that it consists of not only an architectural and planning expertise, but also research and consultancy conducted through our think tank AMO. So it's a kind of unique architectural office, one can say. Through AMO, we have undertaken research projects. Shall we ignore this? Yes. With an entity like European Union, IKEA, or Condé Nast or Harvard University consulting. This research is also the key to our design process. For example, in the Seattle Public Library, we first investigated the future of library together with library and technology specialists. And this led us to reconsider the project's program. And after that, we established a conceptual framework for the library's organization, number 3, and then finally to a design of the building. So we never start just designing without knowing. One of the opportunities, of course, of this project here is not only redesigning a convention center, but rethinking of how the convention center will operate in the future. So like in Seattle, we think one of the key here is to imagine what the future of the typology is to ensure that it's successful going forward. Another example, we also conducted an annual research effort in conjunction with Harvard University, where Rem and I teach, prior to designing many Prada flagship stores in key major cities in the world. And for this project, AMO's effort will be led by Maria Finders, as I introduced. Maria is an internationally recognized cultural and exhibition consultant who has been instrumental in establishing and guiding some of the most important cultural events like Art Basel and Documenta. So she's now part of our office. One of the expertise that was requested as a part of RFP was master planning. So we have, I can show you that we have experience on many large-scale master plans throughout the world, including plans for new city center in Lille in France, which I explain later, renewal of a former industrial area in Essen in Germany into a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Of course, the issue of adaptive reuse in historical context is very important and relevant here because convention center still needs to exist. And also, now we are working on new Silicon Valley for Russia in outside Moscow, and then new airport city in Doha, Qatar. We were the master planner of Almere city center renewal. This is adding a quite dense new urban fabric into a city center. And we have created a consortium as a master planner with city and group of developers, and then oversaw entire process of working, entire process of master planning, and also working with different architects. How to integrate the traffic into such a dense addition is always an issue and also relevant here. In this case, we made an artificial deck that houses a lot of buildings on top, and entirely below that is a parking garage. So you get this kind of very active public space above, which is car-free. Another example, it's in Hong Kong. West Kowloon Cultural District, we worked with both cultural and financial advisors, not just architectural interventions. The proposal is to have a big park with cultural clusters distributed. But here we worked with McKinsey to actually see the financial sustainability of the entire master plan. This project, so we have extensive experience in master planning, but this project is somewhere between urban scale and architectural scale. This is one of our most recognized building, China Central Television headquarters in Beijing, which has 5 million square feet and has a lot of urban issues. So we think, and I was personally a project architect, oversaw from winning an international competition to design development. And then next to that, there's a hotel, Mandarin Oriental Hotel, with 2,000 seats, public theater on the ground. Convention center experience, we have many, and this is one of the completed one in Lille, France. We were the master planner, creating a new TGV fast train station together with many cultural and commercial program. To date, it was done in early 90s. To date, this convention center has 300 events with more than 1 million visitors a year. So it's an anchor program within the master plan. We just won an international competition similar to this in Toulouse, France. It's a home of Airbus. We also even proposed a regional planning, kind of axis, and within that exhibition center is housing many of the exhibitions. And in the center, there's a kind of parking and pedestrian hub or spine that in both sides you have exhibition centers that are flexible. Well, it has a big public plaza in front. And what we also did is to connect the exhibition center to outside, so there's a kind of seamless public connection and event possibilities to outside. We have delivered many cultural buildings. This is a concert hall in Portugal, in Porto. It was linked to a cultural capital system in Europe. The site was in front of the old center roundabout. We made sure that the building is surrounded with another public space so that such a concert and many activities can happen. We are currently designing the ballroom and event space and boutique hotel component of Faiana's development on 34th Street and Collins. This project involved a landmark building and is within a historical landmark district, so we were very engaged with the city and the city staff to develop this project in a way that was sensitive to the Miami Beach history. It got approved recently. That kind of engagement and collaboration is always an important part of our design process, which is informed from the beginning by a close dialogue with our collaborators, such as you and here, and also with stakeholders. Our designs are always a result of that dialogue, the product of a careful consideration of program, the client's needs, and the project's place in the city around it. So we don't have a style of architecture, but rather a style of thinking that we hope lead to a specific design for each project. So in this case too. So just a kind of initial thoughts. It's similar to what we have in the RFQ document, but we were very excited about the project, so we couldn't help thinking about it. Have spent a lot of time already thinking, and this site was, as you know, originally a golf course, a green space within a quiet beachfront community. Here you see the existing situation superimposed on the original map. The convention center was originally placed in an almost natural setting. Now it is located in the middle of the city because after that the city has developed. And the interior of the convention center has always been an important civic space for the city, a place for historical events such as this one, or political events, and now art and business. But ironically, its inside is very activated in public, but the convention center itself is cut from the city around it. And also on urban scale, it is an obstacle to surroundings, as you know. So that the convention center district has the opportunity to become the point of connection and the gathering space for South Beach. That's a kind of potential that we think there is.
3 minutes left.
In the end, the convention center will be a kind of permeable center point to connect different districts. In order to do that, we have brought, the public space design is a key, so we have brought a TVS design and MVVA with their extensive convention center experience and extensive public design experience, and also Raymond Jungles, who is a local landscape designer. So I'm going to pass it on to Scott at TVS Design to talk about their expertise.
I'm Scott Sickler. I'm a principal with TVS Design. We're a large firm that specializes in the design of convention centers and hotels. Our firm has done the design of 60 convention centers that have actually been executed across the United States. This chart represents of the top 20 convention centers in the United States, 10 that we were intimately involved in the design of. From a hotel standpoint, we have really focused on large convention center hotels and headquarter hotels, and worked with all the major brands. And right now, currently, we have the largest hotel in the United States, a headquarter hotel for the Washington Convention Center that is connected directly to the new convention center in Washington, D.C. With that, turn it over to Dan.
Next slide. So we've brought a lot of the team members here. I know you're going to have lots of questions. I just want to reiterate that we have a committed team. We have a commitment to a project that will be of appropriate scale and design. We have a commitment to developing a shared vision of this project with all of the stakeholders, and it starts with you. We will never be in a place where we tell you what we think you want to hear. We will tell you what we believe you need to hear, but we will listen to your voice. We specialize in large-scale, phased, complex development projects. You've got to be in these things for the long haul. It's not about getting up the commercially viable piece and hoping that it generates some income to be able to afford the completion of the public piece. We have a huge focus and concentration on hospitality and convention centers. We have a very stable team, as I've said. We are very strong financially, and we'll begin day one developing the financial plan with you that works. And more than anything, we will guarantee to you that we will execute on this project for a successful delivery. Thank you.